Hello there. Welcome to Wellness by Design today. And I'm really happy to welcome back Kim Duramo to the show. We had such a great conversation before, and this is going to be equally powerful today. So we are talking about, well, Kim's an expert. Kim, you're an expert in mind body medicine, right? Let's just dive in. What we talked a bit before about what got you into this, but what's so interesting for you about this work?
Well, I have been a physician and was an ER physician, so critical care, trauma, but prior to that, studied about how the body heals itself, how the mind and body are connected. So it's kind of fascinating to be on opposite ends of the spectrum and be in this really intense situation in the ER, but realize, wow, a lot of what's going on here, even in the most emergent circumstances, has to do with that mind body connection with, pain syndromes that would exacerbate and people will come to the ER, or even like traumas people would get in because of these abusive patterns in their lifestyle or like what they were subjecting themselves to, really had to do a lot with their own belief systems. So I sort of just like really paid attention to this and realized how essential this piece was, but it was like kind of missing in the field of medicine to really teach about how powerful we are as creators and how so many people with chronic Lyme disease or Epstein-Barr virus or autoimmune thyroid, adrenal fatigue syndrome, or, fill in the blank, cancer, MS, actually had these patterns underlying keeping health from happening, so that no matter what they do to try to heal or the best medicines or the best practitioners, it really wouldn't change that pattern. It would just keep coming back until their life begins to revolve around their autoimmune disease or their ulcerative colitis or like fill in the blank, because the body is actually speaking to us and we're not listening. We're not deciphering like what does it actually need. What it needs is not let's just suppress all the symptoms and call it a day. What it needs is something deeper. But if we learn to listen, it's usually very simple.
I love that you learned to listen. Like it must have been frustrating for you as an MD to not have an avenue in what you're in your training to address this kind of stuff. So you just decided to work at this another way because as we said before we hit record, we were talking about how all healing is self-healing, right? So even as people are doing, say, the surgeries or having medications or dealing with their symptoms, um, it ultimately doesn't address those underlying root causes. Would you say, how much of it is emotions and stress?
Almost completely, all of it. There are acute things that happen, and life is going to give us like situations that challenge us. But these chronic illnesses that so many people are having are really not about that. This is about, where is there a block to my health? Where
Hmm.
do I either consciously or unconsciously stay in patterns of self-sabotage or not really feel worthy? So I'm not making the choices to do what I really want in my life. So I kind of always feel a little like suppressed, or how we do work, how we do relationships, how we do money. All of this affects the body. So it is a major piece of the pie for chronic illness that's not getting better. And so many more people, like since I've started this over 10 years ago, it is so much more common right now. Like when I was very young, I had severe anxiety and panic. And this was like in the 90s. No one even talked about that. I didn't have a word for it for like maybe 5 years of it until I got to college and studied psychology and was like, wait a minute, panic attack. I'm like reading about it in the book thinking, oh my gosh, this is kind of what someone would describe if they had a really cursory understanding of what this really is and put it in a textbook. This is what it would sound like. So I sort of self-diagnosed myself. I didn't know a single person in my life who suffered from anxiety. And now it's like my daughter's 11 and her friends will talk to me about like, oh, I'm so anxious and all my anxiety. And it's like everybody just thinks this is normal. So people are more and more aware of like what happens when we're suppressed and that inner connection. We're not really in harmony with ourselves at that foundational level. And this is the major root cause of what's happening with chronic disease, chronic fatigue, chronic pain.
Oh, harmony, such a great word, and disharmony, right? But oh my gosh, Kim, I there's so many places I want to go with this. But to start off with, let's just talk about I mean, I'm hearing a lot about a lot of people, more people have anxiety, younger people have anxiety. And so is it that we're more aware of it? Is it that there are things, I mean, obviously we have COVID happened, and I know a lot of young people feel anxiety about like environmental anxiety, wondering what's going to happen to the earth and stuff like that. So do you think it's a combination of things? There's more awareness, or do you think there actually is more anxiety?
We are evolving as a human species to come out of that like sleep state where we're kind of living the program of what everyone tells us to do. Okay, I'll be this. And it's life is calling us and really like necessitating that we get connected within of who am I really? What am I really here to be? Because the more we as individuals awaken to what do I love? What brings me alive? What am I really here to be? And we live our authentic instead of the program, the more we create a global society in health and prosperity, we create heaven on earth. That is emerging through us. So it's like an individual as well as a global phenomenon. And that's why we're feeling how painful that suppression is and how either depressed and I'm just like, meh, I'm flat because I'm following this program and don't even realize it, or like the fear that comes up because we can't suppress it anymore. We've been living in fear for millennia, and that's just been normalized. It's not normal. And so
Mhm.
now it's surfacing, it's coming out. We're aware of it. So just because we're aware of it doesn't mean we're more diseased, it means we're more awakened.
I love that awakening. And I, the way you frame that there, and I think it's so true that we are evolving as humanity, right? And so what's going on the individually is like the microcosm, but it's also the macrocosm, right, of humanity. And so many of us are feeling like that, or the chronic conditions are speaking to us, but it's calling us to awaken,
It's
right?
calling us to realign all
Yeah.
of that inflammation, discord, dis-ease, which now we're seeing medically that these metabolic, autoimmune, inflammatory conditions are at the very core of like every major illness most people are dying from, whether it's heart disease and obesity and diabetes, or it's the autoimmune syndromes, which really cancer fits into that, MS fits into that, even genetic syndromes fit into that because this inflammatory fight or flight state over the long term turns on those genes to then exhibit those diseases. So it's so much more about what's happening in our moment in our system that's igniting that. We're living in this massive amount of inflammation and being in a society that says your value is outside of you. Your worth is conditional. You got to meet these criteria and have these achievements and fit the mold. And that is going to be disruptive to a more awakened person who's meant to live their authentic, who's meant to
Mhm.
share not even like some powerful message and write a book. It's actually just how you embody your body every day. Do you show up in with a smile? Do you show up, I'm here, I see you, awake? Or are we just like zombies, robots kind of following the script, which is not gonna, there's no life force in that. It's not good. We're not gonna survive as a species if we continue to do that game and suppress who we really are.
Mm. Oh, Dr. Kim, like thinking about that, and I wonder how many people listening now or watching now, does this feel like a truth for you? Because I know for me, it feels like a truth. And I had a little bit of an awakening. My audience has heard my story before, but I had that little bit of awakening when I was at a rock bottom moment where, I had this knowing that this is not how my life is supposed to be, and I'm supposed to use this as a tool to become more of who I am meant to be, which I believe, and I don't know how you feel, but I feel like it's the full expression of love through us, and it all hasn't been getting through whatever, maybe it's childhood stuff or stories we tell ourselves, conscious stuff, subconscious stuff, cellular memory, whatever, that it's stopping us from fully expressing. What do you think about that?
Well, the more we tune into ourselves, that's our nature. We just would show up authentically. We'd say yes when it's a yes, we'd say no when it's no. We'd explore the things we're passionate about and maybe like create a career doing something that is really meaningful to us. And then the world kind of all fits together when we each follow that inner, because you're a puzzle piece when you're, and it being that, when you're embodying that, everything is that's needed is met because you're organically inspired to be that. But what we've been taught is no, 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 that's not how the word works. You've got to do this thing, you've got to do, nobody wants to do that, it's going to be hard, you got to put your nose to the grindstone, and kind of thwarting the truth and making people disconnect from
Yeah.
themselves. So when we're each disconnected, yeah, inflammation and disease, and you'll go down those disease pathways, but also a global society where like it's not working. Our health system's not working, our economic system's not working, our the educational system, like it's none of these systems are actually working to create a prosperous society.
Mm. And so let's follow from that with there is hope because people are awakening, right? People are hearing a different story now. You're talking a different story. I'm talking a different story. So many people are talking a different story of what's possible and empowering people. And so, how would you sum up that story for people in terms of empowerment and how there really is hope?
It's right here, right now in you. Everything that's ready to happen is right here, right now. And if I get right here, right now, I can feel it, I can follow it, I can act on it. I'm going to create my moment completely differently. And we each, whenever we enter that now and start listening, we will create very differently. And it's not, oh, 10 years ago we should have done this. It's only now. This is the only time. And you can dip your toe in that and like, what does that mean being in the now, and kind of explore like, what does it feel like right now in my body? It's so intense what's happening right now. I want to suppress it, I want to shy away from it. But if that's where all the power is, maybe I'll be a little more courageous, maybe I'll be a little more curious, maybe I'll make a little bit of changes, and to get more embodied, feeling, sensing, witnessing what's here now, because that's where life is.
Hmm.
And when we get here, life comes through the body. When I get here now, feeling, sensing, more life force flows through my body. So immediately healing begins on a physical level. Immediately, emotionally, mentally, I'm already in a different operating system. And immediately I begin to create a new world. And this isn't just an individual phenomenon. We've seen scientifically that our electromagnetic system, it's like a message being sent out, it's a broadcast. And this can be detected several feet away from your body with the devices we currently have. But it's also been demonstrated to be non-local, meaning someone on the other side of the world could feel me, intending for them, thinking of them. Hey, give me a call. And you get a call from someone. I was just thinking of you. Actually, this happened to me the other day because my dad had a medical event, and they had to pick him up in an ambulance. And the next day, after like years I haven't talked to his brother, he called me, the brother called me, and I'm like, oh boy, did you hear what happened last night? He's like, what happened last night? I said, oh, okay, everything's fine, but we thought, he was going to die and blah blah blah. He's like, wow, I felt that, I felt something yesterday, started thinking about my brother, and that's why I wanted to call you. So we are not disconnected from each other. We are not separate in any way, shape, or form. You've very likely experienced that as a mother with these kids you love. And when the heart center is open from love, from compassion, we're letting that intelligence in. We could feel our family member. We could feel the inspiration to call someone who maybe then you found out they really needed you. We are not meant to live disconnected. And so once we start to open the heart, everything is right here, right now. We will create it very differently.
I love that, Kim. And the sound may sound like a little woo. I mean, even though pretty much everyone has experienced this type of connection, people still have it a lot of times in the realm of woo woo. But we know that in physics, this connection is called entanglement. And the Nobel Prize was won in 2022 by a scientist for the work in entanglement. It is not a unproven thing. It is settled science. We know that it's true. It's just we didn't grow up talking about it or learning it, but it is a real thing, right? So, how you talked about tuning into the heart. So, do you have any tools, Dr. Kim, for helping people turn on that heart, turn on that opening so they can
Yeah.
feel?
It's so easy. And one tool I love that we had talked about is EFT meridian tapping. And I've studied that for years and years and years, taught it. I use it in my courses when I work with people through guiding them through this process. And EFT is like a major way to just kind of release the old belief, perception, way of seeing things so you can actually let in truth and perceive things in a very different way. They say, like, once you get indoctrinated into something, it's like 20 times harder to change that mind. Is kind of the reason why a lot of doctors might, like you said, we have this research. Why is it not part of conventional mainstream medicine? Well, what we've learned is, the genes get turned on, the genes, if you have these genes, you're going to have this disease. If you have this family history, you're going to have this disease. It's like
Which
this
is
very
not true.
yeah, which we've already seen scientifically is completely false. If you tune into the work of Bruce Lipton, he had to leave conventional medicine. He's like, I can't keep teaching genetics the way you're asking me to teach this in school. Well, my research is showing me this, but it will take 25 plus years for that research of this moment to reach the medical school textbooks. So it's like, yeah, we can teach this 25 years from now. And he's like, I'm done. And so he left conventional medicine and started teaching this now, and has really changed the world of health. So that's a major thing I've used is heart math,
Yes.
EFT tapping, and kind of putting this all together with what I intuitively have used in mind body medicine since, when I was very young, there were not tools for like breathing techniques or like not a single thing, EMDR for like panic attacks, zero. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know anybody that had this issue. I thought I was possessed by the devil. They wanted to medicate me. And I realized, Kim, you got to get yourself together here because I was not tolerating medications. I was just foggy and hazy. And like that was the only solution. It was like, no, you got to shut up. Don't talk to anybody about this. And you're going to figure yourself out.
Mhm.
And that's when I began listening to my body and realizing, oh, when I breathe this way, I don't spiral into a panic. Oh, when I think these thoughts, whoa, that really shoots me off. My body's jumping. Whoa, what thoughts can I think? So I started learning how to shift my thoughts, how to talk to my body, how to literally get my body to release that sympathetic nervous system pattern and come into harmony. And it would literally turn the whole thing around. I didn't have panic disorder anymore. But, it took years of deep listening to
Mhm.
unwind that. So EFT tapping is something we can do right now, and we're going to combine it with heart math. Heart math is basically the science that has demonstrated we are electromagnetic. We are pure energy showing up as physical. Like we know this from basic quantum physics. You got your pen, you got your computer. It looks physical, but if you look at the, electron microscopy, that smallest particles, these are tiny little bits of energy constantly moving and changing, recreating it as the pen over and over and over.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So that can be hard to get your head around. When I studied quantum physics as a college student, I was like, holy wow, wait a minute. How can you put your pants on the same way if you get what I get? Years later, when I saw the movie, I was called What the Bleep Do We Know?
Yes,
And
I
the
know that one.
secret, and they had quantum physicists on there talking about this. And one guy said, if you really get this, like you're not gonna be able to really function in this reality the same way you always had. Like, if you don't think this is super like below your mind, you're not getting it. And I felt so validated by that
Yeah.
because I was like, exactly, like this physical world we see as solid and separate is an illusion. We actually have way more power than we imagine. And so in this work, we understand we're electromagnetic, constantly changing, and the body can change. And so that electromagnetic field of the heart is, in fact, the most powerful electromagnetic center in your body. That's why when you feel love, you have a little baby, your body heals. You cannot continue to create disease when you're in the energy frequency of love or above.
So
And
true.
so in work I do in Embracing Health is a year-long program I've created where I walk people through this work to integrate the frequency of love or above throughout the course of the year. Some people start vibing with it right away. Major diseases heal: MS, cancer, autoimmune, getting off thyroid medications and regenerating your thyroid, ulcerative colitis, like everything you can imagine, your body can heal because you're connecting with the life force that creates you. And so we can do some basic things right now. And
I
if you
love
just
it.
start tapping on your heart, breathe in and breathe out. So first you've got to get here. You're going to feel, where am I feeling? So just bring your energy to your heart. You can put your hands on your heart and just breathe. Hey, body, how are you? Here we are. Feel inside yourself. Tune in within yourself. And so tell me for yourself, and we'll have everyone listening, on a scale of 1 to 10. If 10 is, I feel awesome, I feel peaceful, I feel good, and 1 is, ooh, I feel horrible. Where are you feeling right now?
Today I've been rushing around a little bit and got some stuff going on. So I would say I'm probably like a four-ish.
Okay, great. All right, that's a really good nugget for us to work with. And so you first have to just know that whatever that number is, if mine's like a 7, you just like, okay, hi 7. You don't go, "Oh, why am I 7? What would it do to be an 8? How do I
Right.
feel better? How do I
Get
feel
out of
so
the
bad?"
story.
Yeah, what you focus on expands. So you start looking for the problem and you're on a hamster wheel. So you just say, okay, here I am. Hi, body, how you doing? Let in the awareness and you just recognize that. So take 3 breaths into your heart as if your heart is a set of lungs, breathing out and expanding and sinking back in with the exhale, and just say, hey, body, I see that 4. I see where you are, and say yes to the 4. So not resisting it, you're actually embracing it. So take
Mhm.
your 3 breaths. Everyone do this. Breathe in, breathe out. Let your heart expand. Out, out, out with the inhale. Here I am. I'm a yes for the 4. It's okay for me to feel where I'm feeling right now. All right. And now we're going to start our EFT. So just do another check in. Where are you now? Did your number go down? Did your number go up?
I think it's still a four, but it just feels very present and okay.
Okay, great. So mine went from a 7 to an 8. And
Hmm.
this can just be because like stuff in your life is getting your attention that maybe is triggering some fears that you're holding. It's actually all serving you because you're not meant to keep holding on to those fears. So now we're going to do some EFT tapping. So come on the outside edge of your hand. These are meridian points. There are
Mhm.
electromagnetic currents throughout the body. Again, current day research. We've teased these out anatomically. We've demonstrated them in the microscope. These energy currents are ionic channels where like the electrons, electricity flows.
Just like a
They are,
copper wire.
yeah, like copper wire. And they're the same areas and pathways that have been demonstrated for thousands of years in Chinese medicine with the meridians. So we're just going to play with that. So you're going to tap here and say, even though I'm a 4,
Even though I'm a four.
and there's stuff going on,
And there's stuff going on.
getting my attention.
Getting my attention.
I choose to be at peace,
I choose to be at peace.
even though I'm a 4.
Even though I'm a four.
And this is real.
And this is real.
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
Something needs my attention.
Something needs my attention.
I choose to allow an opening.
I choose to allow an opening.
Even though I'm noticing this,
Even though I'm noticing this,
it is not peaceful.
it's not peaceful.
I'm not happy about it.
Not happy about it.
I wonder what else is possible.
I wonder what else is possible.
Okay, now go to your inner eye. So that was your setup. 3 phrases. You're just going to go to your inner eye, noticing what's in my body.
Noticing what's in my body.
Outer eye, how not okay this feels.
How not okay this feels.
Under the eye, I am dealing with real things.
I'm dealing with real things.
Under the nose, I'm challenged.
I'm challenged right now.
On the chin, with all these things coming up
With all these things coming up.
under the collarbone, this discord,
This discord.
under the arm. And it's actually pretty bad stuff
It's actually pretty bad stuff
I need to deal with.
I need to deal with.
Top of the head. I wonder what's possible.
I wonder what's possible.
Inner eye, if I bring more breath to my body.
If I bring more breath to my body.
Outer eye. But this stuff needs my attention.
This stuff needs my attention.
Under the eye. I've got to handle this.
I've got to handle this.
Under the nose. So I clamp down into fight or flight.
So I clamp down into fight or flight.
On the chin. This actually limits me.
This actually limits me.
Under the collarbone. Functioning from fear.
Functioning from fear.
Under the arm. I don't know a different way.
I don't know a different way.
Top of the head. But I wonder what might be possible.
But I wonder what might be possible.
Okay, now you're just going to breathe in and breathe out. Feel your body. You may actually intensify things and like dig up the sludge. You may feel better. Some people feel nothing, and this is because it takes a minute for that perceptual awareness at the subtle level. Like your brain's not usually paying attention to that kind of information. I see this change within just a couple of days of people using this work. So now you just check in again. Hey, body, how are you feeling? And now you not only look at the number, you look at like what is coming up. So what would you say is happening?
I feel like the number maybe is the same, maybe slightly less, but I feel like it moved a little. So it moved from solar plexus like further up to my throat.
Great. And any particular things going on, like, oh, I can't believe he said that, circumstances or feelings, emotions that you're aware of?
Yeah, feeling some emotions like probably frustration, feeling disappointed in myself.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. So we're just going to go to that inner eye, noticing this shifted
Noticing this shifted.
from my solar plexus up to my throat.
My solar plexus up to my throat.
Outer eye, noticing the frustration
Noticing the frustration.
under the eye. It's so uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
Under the nose. I'm familiar with this.
I'm familiar with this
Chin, this pattern of being with myself.
pattern of being with myself.
In the collarbone, disappointed in myself,
Disappointed in myself.
which feels so bad.
Which feels so bad.
Under the arm, this is not a loving way to be with myself.
This is not a loving way to be with myself.
Top of the head. So of course my body's gonna feel bad.
So of course my body's gonna feel bad.
Inner eye, then I make my body wrong.
Then I make my body wrong.
Inner eye, I make myself
I
wrong.
make myself wrong.
Under the eye, this does not help the situation.
This does not help the situation.
Under the nose, all these emotions and feelings.
All these emotions and feelings.
On the chin, the habitual frustration.
Habitual frustration.
Near the collarbone, disappointment.
Disappointment.
Under the arm, I'm just going to acknowledge this.
Just gonna acknowledge this.
Top of the head. I'm going to welcome.
Say that again.
I'm going to welcome
I'm gonna welcome
all the frustration I feel.
all the frustration I feel.
Inner eye, the heaviness of this disappointment.
The heaviness of this disappointment.
Outer eye, the battle in frustration.
The battle in frustration.
Under the eye, and everything that says I can't have it.
And everything that says I can't have it.
Under the nose, I can't be at peace.
I can't be at peace.
On the chin, I can't have what I want.
I can't have what I want.
To the collarbone, all the ways it's not easy for me.
All the ways it's not easy for me.
Under the arm, I have to work harder and try harder.
To work harder and try harder.
Top of the head, and it's never enough.
And it's never enough.
Inner eye, so I choose to be disappointed with myself.
So I choose to be disappointed with myself.
Inner eye, that's what I learned.
And that's what I learned.
Under the eye, my go-to is to blame me.
I'm getting a little emotional here now. My go-to is to blame me.
Under the nose, and ask myself to try harder.
And ask myself to try harder.
On the chin, I'm already trying.
I'm already trying.
Under the collarbone, it's my nature to be a giver.
It's my nature to be a giver.
Under the arm, but I can't do it like that.
I can't do it like that.
Top of the head. I'm not meant to live with that kind of pressure.
I'm not meant to live with that kind of pressure.
Take a deep breath in. Let it go. What came up?
Well, I got a little emotional there, for sure, on, I forget which statement it was in particular, but it's sort of like recognizing that it's a pattern of behavior that's not serving me, um, that I keep doing it, but I can't continue like that. I can't remember which statement it was, Kim,
Okay,
but
yep,
it
I
was
got it.
really
I got it. We're
powerful.
gonna move this. We're gonna move this. Okay. Just say this pattern where I make it about my inadequacy.
This pattern where I make it about my inadequacy.
Or am I not trying hard enough?
I'm not trying hard enough.
Under the eye, but it's not about any of that.
But it's not about any of that. There I go. That's truth again.
Yeah. Under the nose. What's happening has nothing to do with me.
What's happening has nothing to do with me,
On the chin, with my worth or my value.
with my worth or my value.
Under the collarbone, I can let go of being hard on myself.
I can let go of being hard on myself.
Under the arm, where I make it about me.
Where I make it about me,
Top of the head, where I reiterate that pattern.
where I reiterate that pattern.
Inner eye, that pattern is a lie.
That pattern is a lie.
All right. Thank you, body,
Thank you, body,
for being uncomfortable with that.
for being uncomfortable with that,
Under the eye, because you know that's not our nature.
because you know that's not our nature.
Under the nose, I choose the truth instead of the lie.
I choose the truth instead of the lie,
The chin, and I welcome my body to show me.
and I welcome my body to show me,
Under the collarbone, so I can live open and at peace.
so I can live open and at peace,
Under the arm, and let life unfold naturally.
and let life unfold naturally
Top of the head, in the highest ways possible.
in the highest ways possible.
Okay, deep breath in. Let it go. Now, I just want to say, once you clear the resistance in your your energy pathways that had this pattern, it just comes from nowhere. But then oh, yep, I'm running that pattern of being hard on myself. Once you clear that from your energy pathways, you're going to perceive the situations differently. It can't keep running that pattern. So, how do you feel right now?
Well, that kind of uncomfortableness that I had in the solar plexus and the throat is gone. It's gone. Um, there's the first time I ever tried EFT, which is emotional freedom technique tapping, I remember that it was the statement, I've been hard on myself for far too long. Like it just got me very emotional. And I always think when we get emotional, it's because we know it's a truth, right? And I felt that again here. So, I mean, even though I've been doing this work for a long time, right, I can still slip back into these patterns of feeling responsible. And then
So
my
what
body goes,
happens when we do that? We feel responsible, but it clicks into that resistance. Our body goes into the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight pattern. It actually contracts our energy system, so we don't have the power in a situation. So like no matter what we do, it really won't change. So the very first thing I have people do when they have like symptoms that aren't getting better, situations that aren't resolving, is to go in through that. Like, what are the sensations, thoughts, emotions, if you can get there right away, behind that, and start tapping to move that. Now, when the energy system's open, and we can quantify this, you're in a field that affects everyone and everything around you. So, if you like walk into the room and like you feel like, whoa, these people they've just been having a fight, or someone walks in the room and you feel either like, oh, I'm excited, or you feel like, "Ooh, let me just like pipe down." You are always registering the energy field around you, consciously or unconsciously. When you do what we just did, which might feel very subtle, or like some people don't feel it at all, it has a dramatic and a powerful impact on your energy field, which affects not just your physiology, it affects everyone around you. So I've had clients I've worked with in the Embracing Health program tell me like my relationship with my children completely changed. My daughter is talking to me about boyfriends and problems, and like she was slamming the door and running in her room before, and now, I didn't know what to do. Now it's like, because I'm more in peace in my system, my kids are responding to me
Mhm.
differently. Many people with disease processes, resolution of cancer, getting off medications, your cells are listening to these programs. And so it'll be fascinating to see whatever the situation has been, now that you've released what it's brought up for you, it'll either dissolve, dissipate, change, go away, or
Mhm.
you might have some like total new way of approaching it, like, oh my gosh, I can just do this. That couldn't have occurred to you before because you were in a different brain frequency.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so powerful. Like that was very powerful for me, Kim, and I hope that people watching, listening, like if you were just kind of listening along, not really doing it for yourself, go back, watch it again, go through the process again. And it you'll be amazed at the results. And it does shift things, and you're absolutely right. When we shift our energy for ourselves, we're affecting right through entanglement, right? And just even physically, our energy field around the people around us, things change. Like I've seen it too in people I work, like people that have had an estranged sibling for years, all of a sudden relationships get resolved, right, besides the physical things. And also like attracting more money or abundance into their life, because none of it is separate, it's all together. So yeah, super, super powerful technique. And I love it. We have so much going on that we're not really aware of, but our body always knows.
Yes, yes. And are we living here now in the body, feeling, sensing, or are we disconnecting?
Right, right. So this is such a great tool for disconnecting. Now you mentioned your program. Can you just tell us a little bit about your program?
So the program I've developed, because there are so many people in this category where they're trying everything, but they haven't shift that foundational energetic. So it's really not going to go anywhere. It's called Embracing Health, where I work with people over the course of a year. Some people get results right away in the first couple months, but we wanted to resource people so they could keep asking questions and going through the work. Each month is a different theme. The first quarter is about dissolving the old programming. So if you just release these patterns where you think it's my fault, or I've got to try harder, or so much of it is unconscious, but we bring it up, help dissolve it, you really free up so much more of your energy to live fully and to heal. And like you said, invite in the prosperity and the resources and money and people. The second quarter is about practicing your creative power. You're actually here to create and to live from your heart and intend, and what's my heart's desire, what delights me, saying yes when it's a yes, saying no when it's no, and actually creating what's aligned for you. The third part is integrating deep healing. Now, there's a lot of like foundational stuff, traumas, even like not even in this lifetime, but like in your lineage and your DNA, these patterns get passed on that have you like say no to money and opportunities and being taken care of and not even know why. So we're really going into these deep, deep, deep spaces that have been maybe really painful, maybe really unconscious, but the level of love people have cultivated by that time is so powerful, and the compassion they can bring to their own cellular is really transmutive. The last quarter is accessing universal power. This is something that opened up in my life so much over this past year, where I realized I'm not really letting myself have my full power. Like, I shouldn't create everything I want. I shouldn't be that powerful in the world. And it's like, Kim, you're giving your power away. No one is going to do anything good with it. You got to take 100% of your power and do everything your heart's desiring. And so I think, as like empathic, sensitive people who care so deeply about the world, there gets to be this programming where, like, well, I shouldn't create what I want because what about everyone else? Or, well, I shouldn't really have all my heart's desire because isn't that ego? And it's like, no, 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 no. Your heart, your passion is going to feed the world. And every time you shut it down because of this like spiritual bypass or these false beliefs about what you shouldn't really create fully. It's like, no, no, everyone loses. So when we access unconditionally our full power, we get adept at creating magnificence, majesty, beauty, power for ourselves and for others. So, you got to give yourself your power back. You're going to play with it, you're going to fumble around, and you're going to figure it out. So that's really the fourth quarter. And we have a special workshop we're doing to introduce people who don't know me, don't know this work, to like, what is this? Is this for me? What is this about? And that is taking place on May 16th. So we'll be sure to include the link here so people can
Mhm.
come to that free workshop and do a deeper dive into this.
Yeah, well, I mean, check it out because this is powerful work and it really is a truth. And I love that it's a year because we've had a lifetime of a habitual way of thinking, right? And even when we do the clearing, we go sometimes can go back to those patterns. So we need the reminders, need to keep having the reminders to teach our subconscious mind, to tell a different story, right? So yeah, I love that. So we'll have the links there for you. Kim, I'd love to ask you a question. That I always ask every guest. So I probably asked you before when you were a guest before, but this show is really about empowering people, which is exactly how you just finished off there, empowering people to be their own healer. So what would you suggest as a tiny baby step they could do today? What would be that step they could do today?
I would say to feel and sense what's happening in here. Do
Mm,
that heart breath every time life gives you a challenge and you feel that crunchy gridlock. Do the heart breath, because if anything we said here inspired with you, like resonated with you, inspired you, lit you up, put a spark, it's because that is your truth. That is in you. It's not like I'm some special person or I have anything that you can't access yourself. And
mm.
so remember that and go to the universal source connection within yourself, and then it will come through you in every way.
Beautifully said, because really our we are the source of our own power, right? We've been taught to look outside. You're telling us to turn inside. I think that's really beautiful. Kim, where can people find you on in the big internet world?
I'm at drkimd.com, and I started emailing more recently because I love to write. I just wrote my second book. It's coming out in the fall. It's called Be Your Own Healer. And after that process, I was like, I still have stuff to say. And it's like a cathartic expression that I started doing it in emails. So you can subscribe to my emails because each one will ignite something in you and grow that spark in you. So that's at drkimd.com. And I'm also at Dr. Kim Duramo in Instagram, Dr. Kim Duramo in YouTube. We do a broadcast every week called MindBody TV. And we're doing a lot of this work, I just did to just kind of shift the channel. So that's every week on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain. It's live, but you can also go there and have all the recordings and view that each week.
Okay, we'll have all of those links there too. So, Kim, thank you so much for being a guest on Wellness by Design today.
Thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable and playing along with me. That was really beautiful.
Well, I wasn't expecting that, but I certainly benefited from it. So thank you. And just this work that you're doing in the world, and you've got such a big heart to really lift all of us together, right? A rising tide lifts all boats, and you're definitely see that and are part of that. So thanks so much for that work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was great to see you.
All right, bye.